Hey guys, it is now midway through August. In fact, it is 2/3 way through August of 2022, and all of us are very excited about the possibility of an upcoming Sonos product launch. So what is it going to be? Now, Sonos has promised that they will be launching 2 new products every year. Now, when they say year, I believe they are speaking about calendar year, but it could be their fiscal year. And for Sonos, their fiscal year will end on between the 1st and the 3rd of October of every year. But I do believe that they are referring to calendar year because that's what every one of us consumers are actually familiar with. So what I have done is to pull out 10 full years of Sonos product launches. In fact, I went more than 10 years back, but 10 years sounds like a good thumbnail title, so I used 10 years. But I went back as far as 2010. So I'm actually looking at the data and I've put everything down on a chart. And before we go deep diving into that, I'd like to give you the upfront summary as usual in my video. So there are 3 highly possible product launches which the market is actually rife with. The 2 highly possible ones are the Sub Mini, which leaked out in a product screenshot within the S2 app itself. The next is an FCC leak filing, which details the Sonos headphone app, and that is a new product category for Sonos as well. And the third product being highly possible as well is a surround speaker with upward firing channels, because the Sonos One is around, the Sonos 5 has been refreshed about 2 years back. There's just a big missing gap, which with the demise of the Play 3s, there isn't a Sonos 3 to fill in the gap. So there is talk on the Sonos 3 being repositioned as a rear surround channel speaker with upward firing cone, maybe at an angle and not totally firing upwards, but we'll see about that. So there are these 3. So that is my upfront summary to you, and as a bonus I'm throwing in another possibility which I will explain why it is actually a possibility if you stay on in the video. And the 4th possible product being a refresh of the Sonos Amp. Now, the Sonos Amp has been used to drive architectural series speakers from Sonos itself, right? And you can drive any speaker. It doesn't even have to be from Sonos. The ones from Sonos will allow you to play, to apply true play. Not that it's a good thing nowadays, but it will allow you to apply true play to those speakers, even though they are not actual Sonos speakers themselves. So when they refresh the amp, it should allow the amp to be paired to an Atmos capable soundbar like the Sonos Beam Gen 2 or the Sonos Arc, and those will be able to drive the ceiling speakers if you have those installed and use them as Atmos downward firing speaker. And that is something that I have been really looking forward to. I have 4 ceiling speakers installed in my listening room and they are firing downwards. They're being driven by the Sonos amp. So if I could use those as a downward firing speakers for the Atmos channel, then I will be eternally grateful for that. So that is the 4th possible product launch. Now that's my upfront summary, and that's all to it. If you have some time to stay on, I will pull out a huge chart detailing everything. So let's get to it if you're still going to be staying around. Okay, so this particular chart that you're looking at details all the product launches that Sonos has made within the last 10 years from 2013 all the way to 2022. And we are at August right now. We are here today. All right, so it pulls up every single speaker from the Sonos Play 5 Gen 1 onwards. Now, we are not talking about some of the Connect amps or some of the earlier products which have been deprecated and no longer in use, but we go back as far as to the Sonos Play 5 Gen 1, which was launched in 2010. So that is why I say we have gone back more than 10 years. Now, if you take a look at these speakers that are highlighted in gray, they are all not available as of today. So anything that is colored, we are here, right? At this bar, anything that's colored is actually available for purchase. So the Sonos Play 5 Gen 1, the Play 3, the Sub Gen 1, the Play Bar, the Play 1s, the Play 5 Gen 2, okay, you just carry on reading, right? And all these are actually not available for purchase today, but it doesn't mean that they are not available for you to use. They can still be used, and you can actually use some of these even in the S2 app, like the Sonos Play 3s, which has been around for about 10 years already. And if you can't use any of those on the S2 app, you can actually use them on the S1 app. And from this chart, if you notice, all these are the products that I've listed. I've taken out all the SL editions. So the SL editions are those that do not come with a mic. And I have also taken off what they call the Shadow Edition. Shadow Edition is effectively the same as the SL Edition. So the Sonos Arc SL, the Sonos Beam, they also have an SL for the Beam. The Sonos Roam SL and the Sonos One SL, they won't be included in this particular chart that you see here with all the products being listed. Now, they are listed in chronological order, so you will be able to see the oldest to the newest being the Sonos Ray, which was just launched 2 months ago in the month of June 2022. All right, I have also color-coded the entire chart according to product category. So in the yellow they are the non-speakers. Though you have the Sonos Boost, you have the Sonos Amp, and you have the Sonos Pod. Now the Sonos Amp itself is not a speaker, but it is able to drive third-party speakers, and it is a very flexible product in the sense that it can be deployed for stereo music listening, and it can also be deployed as the main channel in the home theater setup, or as the surround sound channel in the home theater setup. So within the whole Sonos setup, I do believe that the Sonos Amp is one of the most versatile product that you can get from Sonos today. All right. So color-coded in blue, the music, there are 2 of them, which is the One Gen 2 as well as Sonos 5. And as I have mentioned earlier on, the Sonos 3 is sorely missing in this list. Now, soundbars are coded in orange. So there are 3 soundbars, the Sonos Arc, the Sonos Beam, and the Sonos Ray, launched earlier in from June of 2020 onwards. 2021, they launched the Gen 2. 2022, they launched the Sonos Ray, which is a budget soundbar. Now, the subwoofer, there's only one that you can actually buy today, which is the Sub Gen 3. So the Sub Gen 2 and the Sub Gen 1, they have been deprecated. You can still buy them. Oh, you can't buy them anymore, but you can still use them and deploy them in your home theater setup. And the green ones will be the portables. So you have the famous Sonos Move as well as the Sonos Roam, which was launched last year. Now you will notice 2 product categories in bright yellow and bright cyan. So these are new product categories to Sonos. Let me explain them in a little bit. So wearables, that will be your headphone. So if Sonos launches the headphones, they will fall into a new product category called the wearables. And if the Sonos Play 3 with upward firing speakers, then it kind of like is very tailored and specific to a surround deployment. So I actually created a new product category called the surround or the Atmos offerings that Sonos is going to come up with, because it will be a very, very specific, a very, very niche product category for Sonos, which currently today, maybe the Amp comes close, but none of the other products will actually come close to filling these shoes under the surround/Atmos product category. The thing that you have to observe from this particular chart here, right, is the pattern of product launches. Now, I'm not going to go all the way back to before 2019, because almost all the products that you can buy as of today, they have been launched only from 2019 onwards. Well, there is a specific product here, which is the Sonos Boost. You can still buy the Sonos Boost today. So the life cycle, the shelf life of the Sonos Boost is really, really long. I don't think a lot of people use the Sonos Boost because what the Sonos Boost does is it creates a more powerful Wi-Fi mesh network for your Sonos speakers, but actually just by plugging in one of your Sonos speakers into the Ethernet jack, you can actually create its own Wi-Fi mesh already. So you don't actually need the Sonos Boost for that purpose. back to the point, 2019 to 2022. Now, across these 4 years, all the products that you can buy today have been launched within these 4 years. All right. And if you look at 2019, the pattern of product launch, they launched the Amp, the Move, and the Pod. And all these are actually entirely new products. The only refresh is the One Gen 2. Now in 2020, they launched, and I'm talking about calendar year, mind you, they launched the Sonos Arc, the Sonos Beam Gen 3, and the Sonos 5. The Arc is completely new, and the Sub Gen 3 and the 5 Gen 3, they are actually product refreshes. So same, some new product launches, some refreshes. In the calendar year of 2021, they launched the Sonos Roam, which is a new product, and the Sonos Beam Gen 2, which is a product refresh to bring Atmos to the Sonos Beam. Now in 2022, right, which is the current year that we are in, they technically only launched the Sonos Ray. Now note that I have not talked about the SL. They did relaunch the Roam in an SL edition, but I don't call that a new product launch. They launched it right about the same time as the Sonos Ray, right? So the Sonos Ray is a new product. And if you follow this pattern of having some new product launches and some refresh, this year we technically have not seen a product refresh. If there was something that they were trying to refresh, what will it be? Now, I will be covering the 4 products that I think they may be launching, and the 4th product being a product refresh, and why I think it could be the Sonos Amp. So stay on, I will talk about those 4 things in detail. Now, before we go on to the 4 things, we will talk about what Sonos has announced in their quarterly earnings report. Now, the stocks have tanked, right? It is now below $17 per share. It's not a pretty sight. Just a month ago, it was at $22, $23, and it is not pretty. Now, if Sonos needs to improve that, they will either have to increase their revenue. In fact, they will have to increase the revenue because they did miss the revenue targets. It's not about the cost. It's not about the direct or indirect costing that they're talking about. It's not even about, it could be the supply chain that is hurting them because they are not able to get enough sales, right? Be it because they can't produce enough or they can't get the products in the hands of the consumers fast enough. But whatever it is, right? Even if it could be a demand issue, we have to bear that in mind while trying to figure out which of these 4 products that they are likely to launch. Now, the first product that I'm going to be talking about is actually the Sub Mini. Now, I have explained, right, in terms of subwoofer, there's only one existing subwoofer right now, which is the Sonos Sub Gen 3. Now, the Sonos Sub Gen 3, if you look at what it does, is it provides bass. And it provides bass to almost every other product, right? Be it a home theater product like the Sonos Arc, the Beam, or the Ray, or it can provide bass augmentation to even the Sonos Amp as well as the Sonos One or the Sonos 5. What it cannot is it can't be paired with the portable speakers, but that is a design limitation which I won't go into today. But if you think about what the Sub does, it actually serves a large purpose. Now, it is the only category, right, with only one product offering, right, this number in the bracket. So in the whole chart of whatever you can buy today in 2022, you can only get one variation of the subwoofer, no others. Now, Sonos, if I look at my channel analytics, I know most of you users are about my age, right? We are the slightly middle-aged and slightly older generation. We don't get a lot of young people who are following this brand religiously, right? You don't get a 17, 18-year-old, my boy is not interested in Sonos products. And if you are just starting work, Sonos is actually quite expensive, right? For most budgets, if you are paying off your school loan, if you are paying off whatever rental, then you don't have much disposable income left to splurge on Sonos products, which they aren't cheap, right? And the Sonos Sub Gen 3 is actually expensive, right? Now, if you wanted bass, and the Sonos Sub Gen 3 is the only product that you can turn to, and maybe you just want to augment the bass of your Sonos One or the Sonos Ray, which is a budget soundbar, then the cost of the sub is several times of what you're going to be getting out of the Sonos One or what you're going to be paying for the Sonos Ray. So it doesn't make sense. So if Sonos were to launch a sub mini, then it will cater to the younger crowd. So if Sonos wanted to reach out to the youth, the Sonos Sub Mini will actually make a lot of sense. And there was a Mayeth acquisition, which Sonos paid $100 million to buy this company. They are specialists in making small speakers sound really, really big, right? So the Sub Mini sounds like a very, very plausible launch to actually show that they are making use of this company that they have just bought. Now, the Sub Mini will also drive acquisition across all categories, right? Besides the portable, it will drive acquisition within even the music categories like the Sonos One or the Sonos Five. It will drive acquisition for the soundbars, the 3 soundbars that Sonos has, the Ray, the Beam, especially the Ray, as well as the Sonos Arc. Now, granted, if you have the Sonos Arc, you probably go for the Gen 3, but you know, it is one more choice that you can make, especially if size and space is a concern for you in your current living condition. And the most important thing is that the Sub Mini is not going to replace any of these gear. So imagine if you sell a Sub Mini to someone, a Sonos consumer buys a Sub Mini, he's not going to have to get rid of anything. Now, if you already have a Sub Gen 3, you won't be upgrading to a Sub Mini, right? You'll be buying the Sub Mini and deploy it somewhere else. So you won't flood the market with your older used products to potential people who are going to be buying new from Sonos and thus increasing their sales volume. So from a revenue perspective, I think the Sub Mini is a very, very good move for Sonos in the upcoming product launch. So that's my reasoning. Now, next we go on to the headphone category. Headphone categories, the category being under wearables, it is a new category for Sonos. It is a new growth engine. Now, who are likely to be the ones touting Sonos headphones? I mean, I'll buy them, but if you think about the vast majority of people who are using headphones, especially on the go, they will be the younger crowd, right? So this product, the headphones, will also allow Sonos to reach out to the younger crowd and draw them in as customers. Now, if you get accustomed to the Sonos headphones sound signature, granted, you know, and you want system integration moving forward when you progress in your career, when you're starting to make a little bit more money, as you pass out of your youth stage, you then naturally will gravitate to Sonos products, which will then open up another new world. So that is like a customer acquisition strategy. So I think that these headphones are actually important. Now, commuting is a big part of our thing, right? I know we've been all working from home and we are doing hybrid remote work today, whatever you want to call it. But slowly but surely, over the next couple of months, even a year or two, we will all start going back to the office. We'll all start having to commute. And some of our cars, and cars are really, not really necessary today because there's Grab, there's Uber for some of you guys. There are so many ride-hailing apps out there. It is actually easy to move around if you want some degree of comfort. Otherwise, there's public transportation depending on where you are. It could be very convenient, especially for us in Singapore. Public transportation is actually very, very convenient. And when you are taking public transportation, you want personal audio, right? I know there's a Sonos Roam, but you can't be blasting Sonos Roam on the bus or in the train, right? Not in the subway. And therefore, the headphones are actually important. It is such a big thing because it doesn't replace any of the existing products that a Sonos user will actually have at home. So if I'm going to be buying a headphones, I'm not going to be selling my Sonos Ones or the Sonos Fives and flooding the used market with products, allowing potential new customers for Sonos to actually buy the used products instead. So this category of growth, same as the Sub Mini, is actually pretty important. Now, the next thing about the headphones is that air travel is opening up. I mean, I haven't traveled in a couple of years, but within this couple of months, because air travel is opening up, business requirements for travel, even for leisure and pleasure or family trips, they are still happening. They are starting to happen. And when that happens, you can be assured that you want some form of audio or some form of entertainment when you're on the flight, right? So I do not doubt for a second that when Sonos launches that product, that headphone, it is going to come with active noise cancelling. So with the likes of the AirPods Max from Apple or the Sony WH-1000 XM5, XM4, the Bose NC700, so many of these active noise cancelling phones out there, I'm very sure this product will actually do pretty well. Well, depending on how well they implement it. But from the designs that were leaked out, I'll link it to a video that I've done on the leaked design before so that you can check it out if you're interested. But if they do it well, I think it is actually a very highly desirable product, and it's also one of the products that will boost revenue for Sonos as well as acquire new groups of customers. Now, the third product that we're going to be talking about is the upward firing Sonos 3, right? Now, the Sonos 3 is sorely missing because you have the Sonos 1 and you have the Sonos 5, but there's no Sonos 3 replacement for the aging Play 3s, right? They don't even sell the Play 3s anymore. So that gap seems that it has been waiting to be filled up. Why Sonos Play 3? Because Atmos. Now, the Sonos Play 3, if you could design it in a way that if you place it horizontally, it's going to fire off a stereo soundstage to the left and to the right, right? But if you place it vertically, right, there will be an angle that you can actually project some sound from the Sonos Play 3 towards the ceiling to bounce it off, so that when deployed in a vertical position as surround channel speakers, it will actually act to add 2 more Atmos channels to your soundbar if your soundbar, like the Beam Gen 2 or the Sonos Arc, is capable of supporting Atmos. And the great thing about this is that it is is multi-channel, right? So it also drives other product sales for Sonos, right? Like the Sonos Sub Mini. When you have the Sub Mini, it will help to drive the sales of the other products, like the ones like the Fives even, or the Sonos Ray and the Sonos Beam Gen 2, to a lesser extent the Sonos Arc, but it will drive actual product purchases across other categories. And this upward firing, or rather this Sonos 3 with upward firing channels or cones, will actually be able to drive that as well. But there is a problem, because to Sonos, when they look at this product, you and I, if we are enthusiasts and if we love Sonos, we will buy these products. But then we will start liberating our older Sonos ones. For example, if we are using the ones, they will flood the used market. And when somebody wants to consider buying into Sonos for the first time, and there's a whole deluge of used Sonos speakers in the market, they will buy from the used market, and Sonos doesn't get to dip into the revenue pool. So in a way, that may not be that desirable for Sonos to launch this particular product. So if you ask me, I think the upward firing 3 is actually going to be pretty low on the priority, given that if Sonos wants to recover Q4 or wants to position itself for better growth within the next coming fiscal year, then they need products, they need launches that will actually drive top line revenue rather than to drive replacement. It is not about a hobbyist market. It is about them driving revenue into their coffers. So the last topic, the last product, the fourth bonus product that I'm going to be talking about. Why I want to say that is because if you look at this entire chart here, okay, you have the M being the oldest in the bunch, all right, excluding the Sonos Boost. You have the M being the oldest product within the entire lineup. And earlier, I mentioned that in 2022, we have seen a new product launch in the form of the Sonos Ray, but there has been no Sonos product refresh. So which product is liable for a refresh? Definitely not those which has been launched and relaunched within the last 2 years. So if you move back a little bit, you'll see kind of like 3 options. So you have the Sonos Amp and the Sonos 1 Gen 2, as well as the Move and the Pod, which were launched in 2019. And out of this, the Sonos Move is unlikely to get a refresh. It is still a product that is doing very, very well. And if anything, people may be changing the batteries to refresh the battery life today, but unlikely that they will buy a new product because, again, if it is a replacement product for Sonos Move without much additional functionalities to it, then it becomes a replacement, a revenue replacement for Sonos, not that desirable. Now, the Sonos Pod is also a product like the Sonos Connect before it, or the Sonos Boost even, which is still available. They serve a very specific purpose. They don't need to be refreshed, and there are very little new functionalities you can add to it. All right, so which brings us to only two left, which is the Sonos Amp or the Sonos One Gen 2. Now, the Sonos One Gen 2, I mean, you can launch a Sonos One Gen 3, but it is hardly going to be anything exciting unless they make it with an upward firing cone. But that would then drive kind of like their cheapest speaker into a territory which will cost $300. Now, if they're going to be going to $300 plus dollars, then might as well launch the Sonos Blade 3, or rather Sonos 3, right? So it leaves us with only one product, right, which is the Sonos Amp. Now, what can they do to the Sonos Amp to make it into a refresh? I've alluded earlier, I've alluded in previous videos of what I think Sonos can do with the Sonos Amp. The Sonos Amp is a highly, highly capable Sonos product. Very, very underrated. It performs its duty to drive third-party speakers, and I've used it to drive SVS Prime tower speakers, full-size tower speakers, and they do it admirably, right? It does it very, very well. And it will be able to drive ceiling speakers. It will be able to drive basically any speakers that you throw at it. Currently, I'm driving 4 ceiling speakers, 8-inch cones, and wide in parallel. And it does so without breaking a sweat. And the Sonos Amp can be used for music in this particular way that I've just explained to you, or it actually has an HDMI input, which will actually make it capable of acting as like a soundbar, right? So it will take Arc input from the TV to be able to use it as a soundbar setup. It will be able to upgrade your TV sound. So instead of having to buy the Sonos Beam or the Sonos Ray or the Sonos Arc, you can actually use the Sonos Amp as the sound output, as an upgrade to your Sonos, to your TV sound. Now, besides being the main brains of the whole home theater setup, the Sonos Amp can also be deployed as rear channel speakers, right? And rear channel speakers, they are great because in a way, you can have a Sonos Amp in the front and a Sonos Amp to drive a pair at the back, right? So you have your 4.0 setup, and it also outputs a sub. You can drive sub output. I actually bought an SVS 3000 SB3000 Micro to do some testing, and it actually drives it fantastically well. I haven't had time to do that video, but I want to share it with you guys. So if you think about the Sonos Amp, it is highly capable. But what it is missing right now today is its ability to process, to be used as Atmos capable surround speakers, right? And imagine if you have a Sonos Arc and you pair it with the Sonos Amps driving ceiling speakers, it will then allow you to have actual downward firing Atmos channels, which instead of relying on the upward firing speaker cones from the Sonos Arc, or even potentially the Sonos Blade 3, Sonos 3 replacement with upward firing cone, you are actually getting direct Atmos sounds firing from the ceiling downwards. So I think that will be a very, very interesting product launch, even if it is meant as a refresh. So there is the 4th bonus product launch possibility that I'm sharing with you guys today. I have spoken quite a lot in this video. I don't actually know whether it is possible for Sonos to launch any of these products. I just hope that I am making sense to you guys when I talk about what the possibilities are, and I hope my analysis makes sense. And I do think that it does, because Sonos has a job to fill. Sonos needs to boost its revenue. So till then, when the new product drops, I will share with you what it is Meanwhile, enjoy yourself. If you have found this video useful, please consider subscribing to this channel, and also consider leaving a like or leaving a comment and share with me what you think the next possible product launch is going to be. Now, it is going to be happening, I think, before end of September, that they announce it, and they will make it available by, say, November. Definitely before the holiday shopping season. And we will be in time for buying our Christmas presents for ourselves. Or if you want, you can show my videos to your significant others, and they will roughly know. I will help you drop hints as to what you should be buying for yourself for Christmas. All right, I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, take care.